Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Joey's Scarf. Today is Thursday, October 5th, 2017, and this is episode 16. It's a beautiful day here in Barnegat. Temperatures are in the 70s actually, and it feels like a summer day, not a fall day. Although we have had some fall weather. This is summer just letting us know that it hasn't left us yet, so it's pretty warm. It's been about 3 weeks since I podcast last, and we've done some things during those 3 weeks, hopefully, right? One of the things we did, we went on a trip to Virginia Beach to visit with a high school friend of Ross's. It was an interesting trip. It took us about six hours to drive down there. It was a smooth sailing trip, road trip. We didn't have any problems traffic-wise. But Ross's buddy is a retired Navy SEAL. And during his retirement this past year, he decided that he wanted to pay tribute to his fellow SEALs, and he and his wife Sandy decided that they would have a project to put a monument dedicated to the men and women. To the men, there are no women in the SEALs actually. To the men who serve in the SEALs. And it was interesting how he took on this project, he and his wife. Within a year, they had the monument constructed and erected right on the boardwalk in Virginia Beach, and it's beautiful. And so that was an interesting trip to hear about the project and how it went and how they went about doing it. But I'll be putting some pictures in here and there to show you what we saw. We stayed in a hotel right on the beach, and of course it was not the season. It was past summer season, so the beach was pretty empty. The weather wasn't too great. We had some cloudy, rainy weather, but it was still nice to be up on I think we were on the third floor, and to step out onto the balcony right on the ocean. So it was pretty nice. So that's one of the things we did. One of the other things we did when we went down to Virginia, on the way back, we stopped to see my sister, and she lives in Virginia also. It was a brief visit, but it was good to see her and to see my brother-in-law Steve, who has been having some health issues. So it was good to see the both of them. They live on a couple of, 10 acres of land. They have chickens and ducks and dogs, and their back porch, their back deck, looks out over a little expanse of property and the chicken coops, and it's really, really very peaceful. Not like the neighborhood that I'm living in, which is an actual neighborhood with house after house after house. And as soon as I stepped out on that deck, Johanna, that's my sister. Hi, Johanna. I know you watch. But she fast forwards through the knitting parts. Anyway, she wanted the chickens to come to us so I could see them, and the ducks. So she was tossing out some bread, and the chickens came running, and I could probably sit there for a long time just watching these birds. They're very entertaining. I'm sure we've done other things during these 3 weeks, but can't think of specifically right now. But I have done some knitting. I have some finished objects to show you, and I think we have 2 works in progress. A little later on, I'm going to talk about a knit-along idea that I have for our Ravelry group. I don't know if I mentioned, but you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Linda Grace, and that's Linda with a Y. Our Ravelry group, I'm going to talk about, as I said, a knit-along idea that I have for our Ravelry group after I show you what I've been working on. So let me get started with some finished objects. Okay, the first finished object I'm going to show you is a pair of socks. These are my September socks. I've been participating in the Naughty Knitwits Socket, which is a monthly, it's a year-long knit-along, and you're supposed to make a pair of socks a month to enter into the knit-along. I unfortunately did not finish these in time to put into the September socket, but I did finish these a couple of days later, like in early October, a couple of days ago. And so I was pleased that I even though I didn't get them in time into the socket for September, I was happy that I finished them. It's a pretty yarn, and they came out nice. It's my own usual sock recipe that I use. It's a 2x2 rib. I start at the cuff, and all of the projects that I work on and finish and are working on are found on my Ravelry page. And as I said, I'm Linda Grace on Ravelry, so any of the details you want to know about how I made these, probably on my project page. But it's just a plain vanilla sock, nothing fancy, with an afterthought heel. So the yarn is really pretty yarn, isn't it? Pretty. This is my local yarn shop, actually, Myra, who owns the yarn shop, and the yarn shop is called Wool Bearers, and she is in Mount Holly, New Jersey. She's really got a lovely store, and Myra hand dyes yarn, and this is her yarn. This is one of her yarns. This is sock weight, and it's her Woolly Beans weight, I guess, and the colorway is Go Ask Alice. Really pretty. It's got the yellows and pinks and blues, and I still have quite a bit left over, and I could probably make a shorty pair of socks with these. But Myra's yarn is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I did these on my Chow Goose, size 0, and I do them, been doing them magic loop, one at a time. So that's my first finished object, my September socks that I finished in October. Oh well, pair of socks. And yay, I finished Ross's socks. His second pair that I've ever made him, and I finished them. I knit on these in the car on the way to Virginia, so once I got going, I actually had the first sock done, I think the last time I podcast, and I had just started the second sock, so it was good to get these done. I let him try them on, but he was not allowed to wear them until I showed them on the podcast. But I'm so thrilled that they're done. I think he's really going to like these. He does like them. So that's Ross's socks finished. The yarn I used for his socks is Miss Bab's yarn. This is what I have left. And this is her, what is this called? Her Hot Shot base. And it's 80% merino, 20% nylon, and it's a tight spin, I don't know what you call it. It's tightly woven, I guess. It's, I have, my words are escaping me. But anyway, I like the way they came out. It feels really nice. This color is called, the main color here is called Petrified Forest. And I've shown these probably 1,000 times on this podcast, but hey, now they're done, so I get to show them again. And the toes, cuffs and heels are her Hot Shot Toes, Miss Babs Hot Shot Toes base. And she's got coordinating colors to go with the yarns for toes, heels, and cuffs. And it's the same 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And this is called Roasted Pumpkin, this color. So that's Ross's socks. I had a little bit of an issue with the second pair, and right now I can't tell you which one was which, but the first pair, I believe I had started knitting them on 9-inch circulars maybe, and my gauge is looser when I'm doing the 9-inch circular. But I had started the second sock on I did the magic loop, the second sock, and my gauge was so tight. It was a remarkable difference in the width of the sock from the first to the second. Somebody on Instagram asked me, because I had posted the picture on Instagram about the difference in the socks, and she said, "What are you nervous about?" I think it was Joanne that said that to me. Are you anxious about something? Maybe that's why your tension is so different. And actually, I was a little anxious about the trip, and so maybe that's why. But as soon as I realized how much different the socks were coming out, I switched to the first, when I first started, I was doing them on a size 0. But then when I realized what was happening, I switched over to a size 1, and that seemed to be the trick. So I think, especially for Ross's socks, I have to knit them with a size 1. My socks I knit with a size 0, and they seem to come out okay. But that's the only issue that I had with these. And as you can see, once they were blocked, they're pretty even. I mean, I didn't have a problem, and they fit him the same. Both of them fit him. I asked him, "Do you notice a difference between the two?" And he said yes, that one did seem a little tighter around the leg, but I don't think it's that much of a problem for him. And at least that's what he said anyway. So, second finished object. So my third finished object, third and fourth actually, is a hat and a pair of fingerless gloves, mitts. The yarn is, let me show you the yarn is from Amber's Yarn Shop. She has an Etsy shop. And the colorway is Galactic, and this is non-superwash worsted weight yarn. It actually feels pretty nice. The hat is, again, my own vanilla recipe hat, and you can actually find I wrote down all the instructions on my project page. Even though it's non-superwash and it's worsted weight, it really feels nice. I like the way it feels. I'm going to put the hat on. It's very warm in here today, but I'll show you. It really came out cute. I decided, since I had leftover, that I wanted to use up the leftover yarn, so I wanted to make a pair of mittens or fingerless mitts. And I actually prefer the fingerless mitts to the mittens. I just like to have my fingers free. So this is the way these came out. This pattern this was based on a pattern by Tanis Fiber Arts, and that's Tanis Lovely. Her pattern is called Grammy's, what is it? Grammy's Mitts and Hat. Now, I didn't use the pattern for the hat, but I did follow the pattern for the mitts because she does an afterthought thumb, which I really, really like. I have trouble doing the gusset and thumb. I don't know why. I always wind up with a hole and I have to try and figure out how to sew up the hole. The afterthought thumb, I don't have that problem. Now these are mittens, but I just got to the point where you would start to decrease for the fingers, for the, you know, this part here, and I just left it open, and I put in a 1x1 rib instead. These were so, I think these took me no time at all. It took me maybe a couple hours to knit these. So that's the way these came out. And it is so warm in here. I'm sweating. But, you know, I made the pom-pom, and yeah, I think this will be really warm, unless I decide to gift it. But I can always make myself another one. I like the way this knit up, this yarn. I like the way the yarn, the way it variegated and speckled. It's really pretty yarn. So that's my next finished object. Moving right along, I feel like I'm rushing through this. I have another hat to show you, and yeah, this is my last finished object. The hat, after doing the sweater that I made and the shawls that I've been working on, wanted something that was quick and that I could see the results of. So hats are really good for that, and they just zoom by, especially if you're using worsted weight yarn. Yeah, so this is the second hat I made. This is more of a slouchy. It came out a little bit bigger. I have the tail because I'm debating whether or not I'm going to put a pom-pom on this one. If I do, I'm going to make a real big pom-pom for this one. But, so let's see. I'll put this on. So as you can see, it's a slouchier hat, which I really like. I like the slouchy look too. But this is the same, actually this is the same pattern that I've used for the other hat. It's just, you know, the yarn is different, and yeah, I use the same size needles and everything, but because of the difference in the yarn, it came out a little looser and a little slouchier. But I really like this one too. The yarn I used for this is, I used 2 yarns. So this one is Barocco Socks, and it's their sock weight, and it's 75% wool, and it is superwash and 25% nylon. Doesn't say merino, so it does feel a little not as soft as the merino, but it's not scratchy. It's not scratchy, and I love the color. I love the colors in this, and there's some browns and purples and white and gray and different shades of purple and some speckled black, and it's really pretty. Now, what I did, I held together this yarn, the Barocco, with a Knit Picks yarn, a sparkle yarn. So this one is the Knit Picks Stroll Glimmer, and it is colorway Foxglove. So I just held, the two of these together, and it made this weight yarn. It's like a worsted weight yarn. And you can't really see the sparkle in this, but the hat really sparkles. Yeah, maybe you can a little bit. So I like a sparkly hat. So that's yeah, it's my last finished object. I'm doing pretty good over here, I think. I think so. Okay, taking a break. Okay, so before I go on to my works in progress, and I only have two, I wanted to talk about the knit-along, the idea I had for a knit-along for our group. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be, well, let me back up. I don't know if you're familiar with the podcaster Kristy Glass. But Kristy goes, her podcast, she goes around and she interviews other podcasters, knitwear designers. She's all over the place. She does really interesting interviews. And on one of her podcasts, she was showing a design of hers for a Christmas stocking. And I'm going to put a picture of it here. And it was really, it was a rustic, it is a rustic looking stocking, and I just thought it was so neat looking. And I believe, I don't know if she saw it in one of the, boutique stores, and she really liked it, and she decided, she could do that, make a pattern of it. Because in one of those stores it was a little too expensive for her tastes, so she decided that she was going to design something similar to it, which it really turned out nice. She's got one for a knit version and one for a crochet version. So those of you who don't knit and prefer to crochet, she's got both versions. I think the thing that drew me to this was the colors that she chose, are really cool colors, not your typical Christmas colors. So I thought that was that's what drew me to it. I'm going to put some links for a change down below to her patterns, and so you can check them out. I found another pattern that I liked, and I'll put a picture of that here too. I don't know if I wrote down. I didn't write it down. Let me see if I could call it up. Hang on a second. Okay, the other one that I found was Jillybeeinies Christmas sock, and I'll put that across the bottom, and I'll put a picture in so you can see it. And that was another one that I thought was really unique looking. So my idea is that you don't have to choose either one of these patterns. You can choose whatever Christmas stocking that you want to. But I thought the knit-along could be knitting these little Christmas stockings, and then at the end, when we're all finished with our stockings, I thought it would be a cool idea to match up partners and swap Christmas stockings. So the first phase of the knit-along is going to be to knit or crochet, or I guess even if you want to sew one, a Christmas stocking. And I think, let's see, today is October 5th, so how about if we give it 4 weeks, which would put us around November 5th. And once there are finished objects in the thread, which I'm going to open up a thread I'll open up a finished objects thread and a chatter thread. Once they're finished, and if we have enough participation where we can partner up, I thought that I would match some people up, match partners up, and we could swap with each other. So it would be two people swapping with each other. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can ask me any questions that you want to. But I was wondering, how you like that idea. I thought it was a neat idea. And, you can send some goodies in the stocking, and hopefully they will get, I think we have enough time if we end the finished objects in 4 weeks. And then as soon as that's done, I match up the pair and let you know who your partner is, and you can send that out, and hopefully to get them there in time for Christmas. I didn't want to do the matching up prior to, because I don't know what the participation is going to be like. So this might wind up just being a few of us knitting some Christmas stockings. So I hope you'll join us. I think it'll be fun. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my works in progress, and I have to tell you, I am dying in here. It is so warm in this sunroom today. I don't know what it is. I have the fans going, I have the windows open. I am sweating, so very, very warm in here. Anyway, so it's probably why I'm hurrying. It feels like I'm rushing. That's probably why. But I wanted to show you the progress I've made on my son-in-law's Chicago Bears Afghan that I'm making for him. So let me undo this. It is his birthday is in a couple of weeks. I thought I would have it finished, but I'm not going to have it finished for his birthday. So it's going to have to be a Christmas present, but I think he will be thrilled. So this is it so far. And these are the Chicago Bears colors, the orange and the blue, the navy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to alternate. This pattern is the Garter Squish by Stephen West. It's a free pattern. And what you do is you hold 2 strands of yarn together, and you get this, I guess it's called a marled look. Yeah, and this yarn is by Hobby Lobby. It's acrylic. It's called I Love This Yarn. And I'm using the orange, the navy, and the white colors. So I'm just gonna, what I've been doing is I do 24 rows or 12 bumps, then change color. So I'm doing blue and white, and then orange and blue, and orange and white, and then I'll continue that sequence up. And so after I finish this orange and white, switch over to the blue and white, and just go on, so on and so forth. But this is it's pretty wide. I think you cast on 126 stitches, and I'm using size 15 needles. So it goes pretty fast. I mean, no, I can't say that it goes fast, because it doesn't go fast. When I use these needles, these large needles, and it's pretty bulky yarn now, because I'm holding 2 worsted weight yarns together, it hurts my hands. It doesn't flow as easily as when I'm doing a thinner yarn. I just can't do it as fast. And it just, I guess because the yarn is heavy, and then I'm flipping this blanket back and forth as I finish each row. So I'm trying to be disciplined and work on it. And what I would like to do is finish a section each day. So do 24 rows each day. It's not as easy to do that as I thought it would be. But I have until December 25th to finish this, so I think I should be able to do that. What I like about working on this is finishing the section and then going on to the next section. because I feel like I'm getting that much closer to the end. But it's called the garter squish, and it is very, very squishy. And I'm sure Derek is going to love it. I hope Derek doesn't. No, he doesn't watch this, I'm sure. All right. So my final work in progress is something that I'm really excited about. Stephen West, oh, I don't know when he put this pattern out. He put out a pattern called Daybreak, I believe. And he just came out with an update to Daybreak, a version of it, but it's called Pearl Break. And it's a garter stitch version. And actually it says the Daybreak pattern was released in 2009. So he just came out with this version, and if you had bought the Daybreak, he released this as an update. So he sent it out, and you got this pattern if you bought the original Daybreak, which I did. I never made it though, but I am attempting to do this one. That's the way it looks. I'm really having fun, I guess, making. No, I am. I'm having fun making it. I had a few glitches along the way, but nothing that I couldn't conquer. So this is where I am so far. It's pretty wide already. This is what these spikes have been giving me problems. And even, you know, there's a certain way, you can see here I messed up. I'm not going back because I have no idea how I would fix that. So it's the way it's going to have to be. Some of them are perfect. Some of them are not perfect. I think there are eight of these spikes to separate the. It goes on and on. What is this? So that's my purl break so far. By the time you're done with the main body of this, which is this and then this with the spikes, you have 555 stitches on the needle, and then there is a border also. So there's this is, I think, going to be a long-term project. When I first decided to make this, I got the yarn, and as I've said in the past, I always do a spreadsheet, especially when I know there's going to be 555 stitches, and there were all these sections, and you know you have to have an even number of stitches in each section, and so I like to know. He doesn't give you that detail. You know, he'll tell you at the end of a certain stripe, or you know, you'll have X number of stitches, but it's not row by row. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not row by row. So I started to figure out a spreadsheet, and the stitches were just not coming out right. I could not get the count to be 555. I couldn't figure out how he's coming up with this number at the end of the shawl. I was driving myself crazy trying to get, I think I spent a day trying to get this spreadsheet to come out right. So I thought, okay, obviously it's me, so I'm doing something wrong. Let me go back to the pattern and see if anyone else is having this problem, or if they're not, at least let me see if I can ask someone the question. Well, when I went back to the pattern page, I found this. Yeah, there was an errata, and which made all the difference in the world. The original pattern said that, let's see, you were going to wind up with 372 stitches when you finish the this section. There was no way that that was coming out. The errata tells you no, it's not 300, and it's 555 stitches, which made all the difference. And my spreadsheet came out correctly, and now we're on track. Okay, so let me talk about the yarn. The main color of the yarn, which is going to be going throughout the whole shawl, is this brown color, and it's called Pecan. And it's by Cozy Color Works. And I believe they have a website, and I'll put that down here. This is fingering weight. It's superwash merino, and I guess it's 100% merino. That's this really pretty color, and it's pretty yarn, and the color is pecan. So that's the main color that I started out with, which is this, and then alternating that pecan with various other colors. So you do, you alternate rows with the different colors. So the first part, I'm alternating with this color, which is this is Toad Hollows yarn. It's really pretty. It's got pinks and oranges throughout. It's on their Drusilla base, which is 80/20. And the color is called Bad Tuesday. So that is this color here. It's washing out a little bit, but so that's the first set I did. So I did 16 rows of that. So no, I did 20. What did I do? I think I did 20 some rows of alternating the pink. 24 or whatever, I don't remember. And I didn't want to do the whole thing like that, so I decided I wanted to fade, I guess, into another color. So I went to another local yarn shop called Chelsea Yarns, and they are in Red Bank, New Jersey. And they are another beautiful, beautiful yarn shop. They carry such nice, beautiful yarns. So this, you can see this has the same kind of brown, but it has some blues and pinks. And I just switched over to this one. So this is Sweet Sparrow yarns that Chelsea carried. And the base is House Wren, and it's 85% merino and 15% nylon tweed. So I don't know if you can see, but there's some bumps there, tweed color in there. I can see that. And the colorway is Dickin. I really like this color. And I just switched over to that, so you can see the blue here. And I'll do that for the same amount of rows as I did for the Toad Hollow yarn. And then I'm going to switch over to this color. So these are the colors along with the pecan, which is this. So these are my colors. Okay, this yarn is also that I also got this at Chelsea Yarns, and it is by Marionated Yarns. She's an indie dyer, a local indie dyer, and Jordan Pond. I don't know if that's the colorway or it says fingering weight. It's 10%. I'm sorry, 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And that's that. High twist, that's what that HT stands for, and that's the word I was looking for before. Scrumptious HT, which I guess stands for high twist. Well, anyway, these are my choices. So anyway, when I went into Chelsea Yarns, Christina wasn't there, but her another woman, I walked in and I had these two colors, and I said that I needed a couple of more colors, and that one of the women who works for Chelsea Yarns helped me. And then a customer was sitting there knitting, and she also helped me. And they all helped me put this together. So I'm really happy that I stopped in there, and they were very helpful. It's a great store. If you want to check out Chelsea Yarns, you should. I don't know if she sells online. I think she might. So that's what I'm working on. And I think that's it for my knitting. I'm looking at, I'm pretty sure that my face is beet red by now. My chest is red, my face is red because it is so warm in here. But for today, well, let me back up. Yesterday, our stove oven went on the fritz. I turned the gas on this morning, or yesterday morning, to make a cup of tea, and the flame is usually is blue. The flame is blue, but yesterday when I turned it on, it was orange, and I thought something's not right here. So I Googled what happens if you have an orange flame on a gas stove, and they said, get out of the house. No, they didn't say that. It's apparently not a good thing. I think there was too much oxygen or something. So I was very paranoid about it. I opened windows, I turned the gas off, put the fans on, and I said to Ross, I think you need to call the gas company because I smell gas. Ross he doesn't have a sense of smell, which can be pretty hard sometimes, because I'll say, what does that smell? I'll smell smoke or something else, and I'll say, well, I don't know, I don't smell anything. But so he didn't smell the gas. He was a little hesitant to call the gas company because he thought, he wanted to, do you think that we need to get out of the house? I said, I don't think so, but I think just call them and tell them that we're, have an orange flame instead of a blue flame. Well, they came out right away. And when the guy walked in, he had his little tester thing, and he said it wasn't registering any gas, but he decided he was going to check out the stove. I have a stove top and then an oven all combined in one, which he did, and the thing was registering that the unit was leaking gas. So he shut off the gas, and he said, you need a new stove. So yesterday we went to Home Depot, which is a building supply company, and we bought a new stove oven combo. The only thing is, it's not getting here till next Tuesday, which means we will be here without a stove oven for a week. So I don't know if that means a lot of eating out, but this morning we do have a microwave, of course, and we have a toaster oven, so I mean we could make do. But we went out for breakfast this morning after a long night with Rico, our little 16-year-old Maltese. I don't know, he woke up in the middle of the night. He sleeps with us. He's this tiny little dog, 8-pound dog, and he was panting like crazy. He could not. I couldn't calm him down. It was like, I don't know, it was around 1 or 2 in the morning. So I'm rambling here. How did I go from the stove to Rico? There is a correlation, honest. So Ross got up, took him for a walk, brought him back. He still wouldn't calm down. I was holding him. I just don't know what happened to him. But eventually, I think it was about 3:30, 4 o'clock when he finally settled down. So Ross and I have been up all night. I'm really sleepy and tired too. Probably shouldn't have done this podcast today. I don't know. But anyway, I needed my cup of tea, and I didn't want to put boil water in the microwave, so we went out for breakfast this morning. And we went on to the island, Long Beach Island, for breakfast. And then we drove up to the beach, and it was spectacular there today. There was not too many people. I saw one person with his dog, and otherwise the beach was just completely empty. And I wish we would have thought to bring our chairs and my knitting, because I could just picture myself sitting out there today knitting. It was just absolutely beautiful, and I'm going to put some pictures in here for you to see. So the Rico story was, he kept us up all night. I was tired. Our stove was broke. We needed to go out for breakfast, and sometimes good things come out of not so good things, because when you walk onto a beach and it's gorgeous as it was, everything seems to disappear and all your troubles seem to vanish. So that's what we did this morning. And Rico is feeling a lot better, and actually we took him for a groom this morning, and the poor thing, I mean, he was up all night, and he's getting grouchy. He has a lot of aches and pains, the poor thing. As I said, he's 16 years old. And in order for the groomer to groom him, we have to sedate him. So not only was he up all night, but he had to be sedated, and I had to carry this poor little puppy to the groomer this morning. He was just, I guess he was tired from being up all night, and besides that, he had to be put to, not put to sleep, no. He had to be sedated so they could groom him. So he's sleeping right now, and I think as soon as I finish this podcast, I might have to do the same thing, take a little nap. So that's about it for today. Usually at this point in the podcast, I have been reading some of my little stories. Not going to do that today. If you want to see some of my stories, you can go to my blog, which is Linda Grace An Hour Away, and that's Linda with a Y. I do want to mention that the name of, for those of you who have not watched me before, the name of my podcast is Joey Scarf, and it's dedicated to my son, Joe, who passed away. It's going to be 6 years now in December, from colon cancer. He was a young man. He was in his early 30s, and very, very devastating. This time of year is pretty difficult for all of us. This is when Joe his health really started to decline. His son, Domani, his birthday is October 7th, and he's going to be 7 years old. And the last outing that Joe had was for Domani's 1-year birthday. and he was thrilled to be there with his son. And it's a nice bittersweet memory. It's kind of strange. One of the things that happens to me all during the year, but more so when the weather starts to change, and it just triggers some not so nice memories. And I don't know if this happens to you if you've had a loss, but I see Joe all over the place, and it's very strange feeling. I'll see him in the store or riding down the road. I have to do a double take because obviously it's not Joe, but a look-alike. The way the person walks or the way they tilt their head was the way Joe did. And it just clutches at my heart sometimes to experience that. That's what's been happening lately. I miss Joe a lot. I really do. So that's what's going on here. I'm knitting as usual every day, and I'm enjoying it, and it keeps my mind and my hands busy. And I want to thank you for stopping in and visiting with me. If you're here for the first time, I welcome you, and I hope that you enjoy this podcast, and I hope you'll come back. And those of you who are loyal to me and come visit with me each time I podcast, I am so thankful for you, and enjoy your comments and enjoy getting to know you. So, one of the things before I go, I wanted to say, Victoria from Victoria Knits podcast mentioned that she would like to get together with me. Now, she lives in Montana, I'm in New Jersey, for a virtual knit night along with Wendy from, what is Wendy's podcast? I'll put it across the screen. I mean, I know it. I know what it is. It's just escaping me at the minute. I think it's the heat. But anyway, so maybe the three of us are going to get together for a virtual knit night. That's going to be an experience for me, and I hope we can get together and do that, and I'll let you know how it works out next time I see you. So for now, I hope you enjoy the rest of the time that you have till we meet again. So thank you, and we'll see you later. Bye. Hi. Say hi.
Hi.